Mick, John, what's it like to be back reminiscing 30 years on?
It's very special. Yeah, it's a pretty special group of people involved in the not only the 92 but definitely the 94 premiership as well. So playing group very tight knit, but support staff around us. We were just a really close group. So to see everyone again is always just great fun.
Obviously it was history making in 92, but how did it compare? What was the feeling like? And even now, 2 years on from that?
Yeah, so 94 sort of just consolidated how good a team we were, I think. To be able to play in 3 grand finals over that period of time, with the load that we'd had, not only leading up to the 91 grand final, but even prior to that in Mick's first year in 1990, our travel load was just enormous. So, to have played through 3 grand finals and win 2 of them took a special group.
How much hunger after 93?
The hunger was always there, but we were having good fun as well. But we did train hard. You know, we never. I don't ever remember not training intensely hard through that whole period. That didn't mean we had lighter sessions, but they were always training at a top level. So I think the hunger was always there. 93, we were pretty disappointed with that, the way it transpired, and to get bowled out. So we definitely came into 94 with the resolve that we've got certainly another grand final left in us.
John, you spoke about up there on stage not being that well received. As an interstate club doing it, you did 92 and then 94. How hostile was it for the team, and then obviously yourself as well, and the way you went about your football?
Yeah, I was being light-hearted. It wasn't actually too bad. Maybe because we were playing Geelong and they were a out of Melbourne team anyway. But look, being a non-Victorian team, you either play in front of pretty much your home crowd. All your supporters are all opposition supporters, so we were used to that. We were used to playing at Victoria Park with 98% Collingwood supporters, Windy Hill against the Bombers. So, yeah, grand final day was not really an issue for us. It was just a good environment.
What made this group so special compared to other ones that you've coached?
Oh, well, they're all special. Every side I've coached has been a special side because they're just good young blokes. This side is different in as much as, I just said they're all the same, but this one is different in as much as John's touched on it. I think the adversity of the 1990 final series, plus the 2 weeks prior to that, that's 6 weeks in a row. I'll call it injustices if you like. The number of finals that we earned to have here in Perth, we didn't get. But, and I've said to these guys before, and I said to John probably just before lunchtime, there was never any complaining at all. And we were referring to our training. So we would turn up on training day and we'd have to find out early days where we were going to train. So we just didn't have a ground. But I didn't hear any player complain about it. And that to me is one, great resilience, but two, is accepting that this is how it is until we get established. We're only 3 years old when I was able to be coach of the side. So those early days were pioneering days. They were days that were put an enormous amount of pressure would have been on families. Luckily I had a fairly young side, so they're able to go home. Generally parents were able to help out there. But to be able to absorb that pressure over those years stood them apart because it wasn't easy.
Excuse me, sorry.
And you get, there's always good players and there's lunatics. And one just walked past. Yeah. But the very essence of that hard work, without complaining and actually building on, no doubt held us in great stead for the next, umpteen years.
Where does you have 3 coaches three flags as a coach, obviously 92, but then Collingwood 2010. Where does 94 sit for you, the significance of it?
See, I don't reckon you should ever be judged on premierships, and I don't think players should be judged on premierships. I like the big stage. I like players to play on the big stage. But Don Pike was probably our best player in 91. We lost the game. John has led from the front in games where we've lost, but he was at his best. So it's difficult to say which premiership is the best. It's certainly 1992, as far as I'm concerned, is the best one as far as to legitimise the AFL as a national competition. Even then, it failed in many respects because we still had to play finals that we were deserving of here. We had to play in Melbourne. That's not a fair competition. But define fair in the AFL is very, very difficult. So each one of them is, and the one I played in and won, they're all different, but they're all fantastic. They're not only different in terms of the teams, but the makeup of the teams. So you can't say slot them 1, 2 or 3. It's just that 92 stands out because of that component. It doesn't make it better, it just means that it's different.
They look like they can still all get a kick. They look like they still all get a kick.
They're in fair nick, and if you're in among them there, they would be telling you now, particularly blokes like David Hart and Glenn Jakovich and Guy McKenna, they'd be telling you that they would be playing better football now than what they did under me. So that gives you a fair idea where they think they are. I mean, the reality is, we are 30 years on.
We're creaking a little bit, but you're right.
Maturing.
Well, Bluey will mature in the next year or so, I reckon. But they're all in good shape. Yeah, they have looked after themselves well.
Were you more confident before 94 than 92?
As a coach, you worry all the way through. You worry right to the death. No, I'm not 100% sure I was more confident, less confident. I think the boys answered it very, very well to say that we'd been there, so therefore we knew what to expect. But that doesn't make it any easier on a coach. And John's coached the premiership. John's coached a couple of sides. You cannot afford to be comfortable. If I ever look, I don't think I ever felt comfortable. If I ever thought as a coach I felt comfortable, I think I'd be doing something wrong. You're on edge all the time because you don't know how the players are going to turn up. You train and play and they say the right thing, but at the end of the day, the opposite, you got someone in the other room, and if they're equally as committed or more committed, then you're going to fight on your hands. So if we go back to even that game, at quarter time we trailed. We trailed by 1 goal. We were 3 in front, I think. I can't totally recall, but I reckon they kicked late goals and put them in front. So there's an illustration of what can take place. If you play the best of the best, okay, we had a good record against Geelong, but they could motor. If you let them go for one little, this is why you have a great captain. I've been blessed with my 2 captains that have been my captains over for premierships, because that's when you identify people. He wouldn't let him off the hook. It's interesting that Tommy Bean Kemp said, halfway through the last quarter. The same question wasn't asked to John, but you go right to the end before you say, look, hello, we've won this game. Because you cannot afford to go, well, Ablett could kick 3 in 3 minutes. Then you don't know what's going to happen from there on in. So that pressure is on me as a coach, because I can't do anything about it. Once the instructions go to John, he runs down the race. You make some changes as a coach, but reality is you rely heavily on your deputies, in this case John Worsfold, to say, hey, listen, tighten up a bit here, or don't get caught up in the fact that we're 5 or 6 in front. So that's what makes it such a great game, is you rely so heavily on other people.
How do you explain 10 goal kickers and 4 goal kickers?
That's interesting. Like Sima dominated. Tony Evans got back and kicked 2 very important goals in 92 in the second quarter. Peter Wilson kicked his goals. We just shared it. It's quite remarkable. It wasn't until I think John said we had 44 shots or something. It's quite a remarkable performance against a side that, if you go through their stats that year, they were the highest scoring side. We kept them to their lowest score for the year. That to me is more important than what we scored. It's more the fact that we held, we locked in, we had a job to do, we took care of those players that can create play, and the scoreline then increased, but it decreased the other side. That was most important.
Backs were still disappointed. 2023, surely boys can kick better than that. We're creating all these opportunities for them and they couldn't nail them.
Mick, what would be your advice, excuse me, for Adam Simpson with where the team and the group is right at this point in time?
Well, I'm a great believer in the windshield as opposed to a rear vision mirror. The rear vision mirror has happened. So what's in front of you is in front of you. And I don't say you can keep starting again, but to learn from the past is so important. If you ignore the past, you'll commit the same errors. So learn from the past, but take it forward. Just keep chipping away. It's amazing what you can do if you just you take a cliche. It's not one game at a time. It's not one quarter at a time. It's one contest at a time. If you can convince players to keep that contest up, Richmond last night, they went over there. They played Adelaide, who had a lot more to play for. You could just see it was a contest by contest. And Adam Uzo was able to get his players to play that contest by contest. Adelaide couldn't compete with that contest. So in Simo's position, that's the only advice I give him. It's not a matter of game by game. You've got to cut it up a lot further than that. It's like, so your half-back flanker playing on a certain player. What's going to happen in the last quarter is going to happen in the last quarter. What's happening right now is up to you.
Can you just take us into the conversations that you have today? Is it literally blow by blow, quarter by quarter, contest, or do you chat about other stuff outside? What are the conversations? Well, yeah, here this afternoon, tonight, tomorrow.
They're all best on the ground, aren't they?
We
are best on the ground.
A few players will tell us, what won the game for us, but no, there's a lot of just checking in with families, and we don't see each other that regularly, and catching up with partners and finding out about kids, and there's a lot of that as well. Yeah,
and the jobs they do.
Yeah,
different
that's right.
jobs.
Yep. Yeah, we're all moving on different pathways. Someone was late. We're finding out what the price of cabbages is. So they're obviously good price because he stayed back to pick a few more. It's good fun. We all. A lot of banter, but
the game is hardly discussed, is it?
Not a lot. No,
it's more about how we are today. There's nothing to prove.
Come back after a couple of
years.
Won
the premiership. Yeah, tonight might be difficult. We'll see who is kicking what goal and whatever. But
it's normally what we'll try and do is pick the faults, pick where, like even when Bawley was called up, who had a great game, Carl said he gave away 5 free kicks. So we'll be bringing that up later.
How many tackles?
Yeah, Summer kicked 2 goals, 4. That will come up later on. So it doesn't matter how well they play. We'll find something that Kempy did wrong somewhere along the line, and we'll let him know about it. Yeah. I got dragged off Andrew Wills at about the 6-minute mark, I think, after he sold candy and ran around me and kicked a goal, which what I know deep down is I did that deliberately because I didn't want to chase a fast bloke all day, so quickly Mick put blue on him.
No, you're wrong. I didn't want your coat hanging him in the 7th minute, so it's moving back away.